Hey, also, this week after watching the TED Talk, which I found very interesting actually, by Paul Fiann, I want to say that's how you say his name. He had, in the beginning, he showed a chart and it was like characteristics of things, and he broke them into two clusters. Cluster A had like schizoid, cluster A had like schizoid, paranoia, and then cluster B had like OCPD and like dependency for the things, and then he broke them down even further. And for people in cluster A, they were like detached, didn't seek pleasure, often choose like hardships. So people in cluster A usually follow those I guess stereotypes. And then people in cluster B were very constantly work occupied, unable to access leisure mode, very goal oriented to a fault almost, and then used to working in hard / under pressure conditions. So I thought that was interesting. And then he goes on to talk about one thing I like that he'd actually talked about before is that he mentions that in the past we've said that it's either you have the disorder and you don't, and that's it. There's no middle ground. He goes on to say that that's false, how it's more of a spectrum. Like I feel like we've talked about in this class, it's more of a spectrum. But I like how he reiterated that how everybody is on this spectrum. Everybody's on it. And you might be at the very lowest end to almost no, but you're still on it. But everybody's on it, and that, you gotta have to remember that. And some people are up higher and some people are down lower, but everybody's on it. I like how he reiterated that point before he went into the positives and negatives of some of these things. And one thing that I really liked how he did it is how he goes about telling you the negatives, and then he says, yeah, but guess what? That's like a doctor. So like for the example, I think he used like a schizoid, and he goes, who wants someone who's detached, doesn't seek pleasures, detached from emotion and things like that, is very like a hard worker. And he goes, well, you would want a surgeon to be like that. And so like for schizoid, that was one of the things where it was like some big challenges may be, you lack that attachment to things, and you lack or you don't seek pleasure, you're just kind of always like in a work environment mode. But you might come out being a great surgeon because you have that detachment where if you have to make a hard decision in a surgery, I'm going with the surgeon thing. If you have to make a hard decision in a surgery, you're able to make that because you're not attached, which could eventually end up saving someone's life, or, I mean, it sounds mean, but like saving time and being able to move on to another major issue in a hospital. So that was one. Another one he used was OCPD, which I found that was something I learned. I didn't know what OCPD was. I thought it was the same as OCD, but this is obsessive compulsive personality disorder. And this one he said like you were like lack of emotion, like they usually have like a lack of emotion when they're going about things. It's just very get through it. And he also put this under like addicts, and when he said addicts, he said drug addicts and workaholics, as these would be some like challenges, and I would say like weaknesses of having OCPD. I feel like they're challenges because like lack of emotion, you can't really express yourself, so no one really knows how to read you, which could, I guess, be very frustrating for you. So that's a big one. And then addiction, he said workaholic, you're always at work, you put work first. But he said these are the people that usually make big corporations because they get stuff done and they know what they're doing and they know how to do it and they know how to get it done, do the workload, stay focused, be able to put in a 16-hour day and not complain. Some of the other ones he used were like narcissism, how people he says narcissism is like self-preservation is what narcissism is. And he says that's bad because you can hurt people, and like obviously you can hurt people, and that was the big thing, like hurt people, selfish. But he said it's also like most superstars are narcissists because they're worried about keeping their image up, and then a lot of companies will hire narcissists to promote their thing because they're well at presenting themselves. They want to look good, presenting your product. So, so overall, it was just interesting to see how he showed you that, once again, like, everybody's on the spectrum in a different way. It's just a matter of how you look at it. Not all these things are bad. When you hear them, they get like a bad rap, but you don't realize that maybe a lot of people are on these spectrums in different things and you just don't know it, and they could be amazing people.